Hi, I'm Stephanie Jordan. I'm a nutritionist. Thanks for coming back. Today, we're going to cook together. We're going to make sweet potato black bean quesadillas. It's one of my favorite recipes. I've been making it for years and years, and it's a crowd pleaser. I think you'll like it. So before we get started, I want you to make sure that your hair is pulled back so you don't get so you don't get hair in your food. And I want you to go wash your hands. So go pull your hair back if you have long hair, and wash your hands regardless of your hair, and come right back ready to cook. Glad you're back. Everybody have their hair up and their hands washed. My daughter Ella is going to be helping us today, and we're ready to get started on our sweet potato black bean quesadillas. So delicious. So first, I want you to go to your kitchen, and you're going to need these things. We're going to need olive oil. We're going to need half of an onion, 2 cloves of garlic. Hold it close to the camera. There we go. 2 cloves of garlic. Good. A teaspoon of cumin. Sweet potato. And your sweet potatoes either need to be washed or peeled. So you can choose. You can eat the peel of a sweet potato. So we'll get to that in a bit, but washed or peeled. Half a can of black beans. Salt. Cheese. Oops. And almost forgot, corn tortillas. So my family likes corn tortillas. If you like flour tortillas, that's great. The other thing that I want to tell you is if you don't have all these ingredients, don't worry, it's still going to work out. All that you really need are sweet potatoes and black beans. So if you don't have cumin, if you don't have onion or garlic, don't worry about it. You can make tacos without the cheese. You can make, it's delicious any way you put sweet potatoes, black beans, and a little salt together. So whatever you have, grab it, and let's get ready to start cooking. We're going to do a quick lesson on chopping and chopping around things. So with this onion, you can see there are the roots here and the tip here. So that's where the greens grow out of the ground, and the rest of this grows under the ground. You can use the peel for making things like broths and soups, but today we're going to go ahead and cut it off so you can make sure that your fingers are out of the way. There's 2 ways that you can do that. You can make a bridge and go under it, or you can make a claw and just make sure that your fingers are totally out of the way. So I'm going to make a claw, and I'm going to use a decently sharp knife and just saw into the onion. And then I'll move that out of the way, ready for my compost or my broth bag. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So my fingers are tucked away, and I'll use the knife to saw off that section where the greens are. You can see if you hold your knife down, it pulls off the outer layer of the onion, and it gives your fingers a nice starting point to just peel off the layer of the onion, just the outer layer that's hard, and then the rest of it is nice and soft. So from here, anytime you have anything round, you want to make sure that it has a flat spot for cutting. So we just accomplished that. We have 2 flat spots of the onion, so it's easy to cut. Now you can choose. Do you want to use the bridge method, where your fingers go to either side of the food and your knife goes underneath? Let's practice that one. and you saw just like you're going under a bridge. There you go, cut in half. Again, you always want to fold your food down to the flat spot. So now the recipe only calls for half of an onion. I like to go ahead, since I'm in the process of cutting an onion, just go ahead and cut the whole thing. Onions freeze really well, so you can start cutting. I like to think of it as little stripes in the onion, going all the way around. Like I said, the recipe just calls for half of an onion. Now I'm getting close to my fingers, so I'm gonna stop the claw and I'm gonna go back to that bridge method. And you can just go back and forth anytime. You don't have to just choose one. I'm gonna turn the onion and put it down the whole side here. Making sure my fingers are totally out of the way. And this last section is kind of tricky. Feel free to have an adult help you with that last one. And then our family likes our onions pretty small. So any pieces, like this piece got left pretty big, I'm just gonna go ahead and chop that one up. Round things are tricky to cut. And the onion is strong. My goodness, it's starting to make my eyes water. You definitely want to be careful when you're chopping onion. If your eyes water, there's a lot of little old wives' tales about how you can keep your eyes from watering. I've heard that running cold water on your wrist helps, but what you can go ahead and do is put that in a bowl and cover it, and that will help your eyes from watering. Now I'm going to go ahead and just cut the rest of the onion. And then I'll be ready the next time I go to make sweet potato black bean quesadillas. I won't have to cut the onion. So I'll be further along. It won't take quite as much time. Hey, how's that onion cutting going? Ella and I have our onions all cut up. But one thing that we're noticing is that our eyes are watering. Wow, these onions are strong and fresh, and they're gonna make our food taste good, but they're not good for our eyes. So a little trick you can do is you can... Yeah, it makes it better already. You can just cover them. So put them in a bowl, and you can cover them while you're doing your other things. And once you make this recipe a couple of times, no big deal. You're gonna throw these in the skillet right away. So now we're gonna do garlic. There's lots of ways you can buy garlic. You can buy it already cut, but it's really good for you. It's good for you every way, but I like it fresh. So you're gonna take the garlic clove and you're gonna put it down, and you're gonna take this big edge of the knife, or even your hand. Let's do our hands, Ella. Let's get the knife out of the way. And you're gonna smash it. When you smash the garlic, it helps the skin to come off really easy. Otherwise, the skin is really sticky. So take the skin totally off and put it in the compost. Now you're gonna take your knife, and you'll see at the edge of the garlic, that's the roots. So if you wanna plant garlic, you could take a clove like this and put it right into the ground, and you could have a whole bulb of garlic pretty soon. But not tonight, or today, or whatever time it is that you're watching. We're making supper. We're gonna cut off this root section. So take your knife, find your claw or your bridge. Let's do bridge, Ella, since we did claw last time. And we're gonna cut off the roots. Put it in the compost. And then we're gonna take the claw and we're gonna slice the garlic. Keeping your fingers out of the way. This little tiny thing is tricky. You do it slow and controlled. But garlic can be spicy if you eat a lot, so you want to chop it as small as you can. And sometimes you can move your hand out of your not cutting hand out of the way. That's my left hand. Are you left-handed or right-handed? just chop it up with one hand and wipe it off. And now our garlic is ready to go. Let's put it in a bowl, Ella, so we'll be ready to fry it up. So put it in your bowl. We'll put it over by our onion. Ready? Super. Garlic ready to go. Now we'll take our sweet potato. So you want to look at your sweet potato, and if it has any brown spots or holes, that's right, or roots, just want to check it out and cut them off.
Is this it?
Yeah. Claw or bridge. Claw or bridge every time. And you'll take that, and that can go in your broth bag or your compost where you put your food waste. So remember that your sweet potato, the skin, a lot of people don't realize it, but the skin is actually edible. Especially once it's cooked, it gets a lot more tender. So you can certainly peel the skin off, or you can go ahead and grate the skin right with your sweet potato. All right, Ella, do you want to go first with the grater? Let's move the knife out of the way so we don't knock that onto the ground. There you go, and you just grate. Keep going till you get that whole sweet potato done. Make sure that you keep your fingers out of the way. Perfect. All right, time to get those black beans ready. So you can do any kind of black bean that you like. We have just a can of black beans. You could do dry beans that you soak and cook ahead of time. That's definitely the most affordable way to go. But a super fast way to go is just a can of black beans. So Ella, will you go ahead and open this? So you'll need a can opener. And then once you open the can, you're gonna want to pour it into a colander and drain out that water. So there's a lot of salt, and sometimes you get some chemicals from your can. So whenever you're eating canned food, you want to be sure that you pour out the water and add new water when you're cooking. So I'll go pour out the water and get our beans ready. All right, black beans are drained and ready to go. Ella needed a sip of water. Get yourself a sip of water. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna slice or grate our cheese. I like to buy a big block of cheese, then you can get a better quality for less expensive. So we have a big block of Tillamook cheese. And I'm gonna go ahead, I don't usually measure this part, get about an inch, and I'll cut it. Fingers are out of the way. And get ready to grate that. So we're gonna grate it so it'll be ready for the tacos. Ella, you can be grating that while I am gonna measure the cumin. So according to the recipe, it says you need 1 tablespoon of cumin. So tablespoon is the one with the capital T, and it's the biggest measuring spoon that you probably have. Okay, so we're gonna take a tablespoon of cumin. Let's get a little bowl. Tablespoon of cumin. And whenever you're measuring things, it's not as important when you're not baking, but you want to measure to the top of the measuring spoon, but not overflowing, so it's flat on the top. So I like to just scrape it along the sides, and that's 1 tablespoon. And then we can go ahead and measure the salt. We're gonna do 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in with the cumin. All right, guys, while Ella's grating that cheese, we're gonna shift the camera over to the stove and we're gonna start cooking. So you're gonna need your olive oil, that's the last ingredient, your corn or flour tortillas, everything that you've prepared so far. You'll also need 2 skillets, okay? So go ahead and get your skillets out and your olive oil, and we'll meet at the stove. Hey friends with Ozark Folkways, I'm glad you're back. So we're here at the stove with our 2 skillets. I like to use cast iron skillets, but you can use whatever you have. And we're gonna start with our skillet on medium heat. You're gonna start that with your heat on, and your pan's gonna start warming up. Give it a minute or 2 to get warm. And then we're gonna toss on a little olive oil. The recipe calls for a tablespoon, or I just like to give a little dash. And put your oil in there. The cool thing about olive oil when you're cooking with it is that once it's warm, it starts to spread on its own. It looks like, if you look close, that it has a little spider web in there. So you can tilt your skillet. Don't burn your hand. If you want to use a pot holder, that's great. These handles don't get too hot, so I don't have to worry about a pot holder, but that girl Ella that was helping me made this, so I use it. So you can see the oil is starting to bubble a little bit. You don't want it to smoke. Once it smokes, it's not very good for you. And we're going to start with our onion. So that onion, we're gonna use the one that Ella chopped up for us. And I hear it sizzling, and I'm going to go ahead and put it in. You can use a spatula to chop any pieces that are a little too big that you didn't get around to. Just cut them in half as you're going. Onions are relatively easy to cut once they're in their individual layer. So you can use a butter knife for cutting your onion, or you can use a spatula in this pan. We're gonna stir it around a little bit, still on medium heat. Ella's gonna go ahead and stir that for me, staying away from the skillet so you don't get burned. And you just wanna keep it moving, not too fast. Make sure all of it gets cooked. The onions, they're looking good. So onions start to turn sort of clear, translucent is another word for that. As they cook, and they start to smell sweet. So they're no longer burning our eyes. The next thing is we're going to take those 2 cloves of garlic that we chopped up earlier, and we're going to toss that in with the onions. Garlic will burn a little bit faster than your onions, so I like to cook my onions down a little bit first. So we'll stir that around a couple of times. Hey everybody at Ozark Folkways, our onions are looking nice and cooked. And now is a great time to add, you have mixed up your cumin and your salt. Go ahead and season your onions really good. Oh, and right away it starts to smell really nice and fragrant. That's the cumin toasting. Give that just a little mix. And we'll be ready to put in our sweet potatoes and a little bit of water. We're gonna go ahead and add our sweet potatoes. And just spread it out a little bit so that they get seasoned by the onions. So you've added your sweet potatoes, and if you have a lid, go ahead and put a lid over your skillet on the sweet potatoes just for a minute or so, and that way it'll make your sweet potatoes cook a little bit faster and get softer a little quicker. If you don't, it's no big deal. It's going to turn out great. All right, let's check on our sweet potatoes and see how they're doing. Definitely use a hot pad for that lid because it is getting hot. Hot air rises. Looking pretty good. It's getting a little soft. If you find that it's starting to stick to the bottom, just give it a little extra scrub. You can add more water or more olive oil. So now that it's here, Ella, will you grab the beans? We're going to toss that half a can of beans in. Go ahead. Great. And I'm just going to stir it really good and make sure it's nice and mixed. Everything's evenly distributed. Of course, you can make more of this recipe so that you use the whole onion and the whole bean, so it'd be very easy to double this recipe. That looks pretty good. I think we're ready to start making our quesadillas. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm going to take the lid and put it right back on just so I have a place for it. And I'm going to get started heating up these tortillas. All right, so we're going to get started with these tortillas. In your other skillet, you can turn it up to medium-high heat. And we're going to put a little olive oil on it. So you can just put a splash in there, about a tablespoon if you'd like to measure it. That's perfect. And then you can take your skillet and roll that oil all the way around. And now, let that heat up. Go ahead and grab your tortillas, have them handy, and your cheese. So you can do 2 at once. There's lots of different ways you can do this. I'll show you a couple of ways. You're going to start by putting just a little bit of cheese on one side, a little bit of cheese on the other one. And now you're going to add this mixture that you've worked so hard on and put it right in the middle. If your family doesn't do cheese, these make great tacos. Also goes really good on top of a salad. So remember, just if you don't have all the ingredients, you can still cook. It's just going to be your own version. It's like you're making up your own recipe. Now grab a little bit of cheese and put it on top so the tortilla sticks together. And you can use your spatula to lift up the bottom side of the tortilla and fold it down. Hold it there so it melts a little bit. And same with the other one, so you're going to fold it over in half. Just hold it down. And just hold it. Perfect. So you're going to let the cheese melt, and once it melts, you can grab it, gently flip it over without flinging all the ingredients out. Tacos, corn tortillas, flour tortillas, salads, so many options here. And we're about ready to eat these. Get a plate handy because they're almost ready.
Let's use the plates that we got on the
Ella had a great idea because she has been washing dishes all day long, and so she's starting to learn dish efficiency. And we've used a lot of dishes while cooking. So what she just said was, let's use the plates that we use while to cover the onions, because they're pretty clean, but we'd have to wash them, right? So we use those dishes to put our first quesadillas on, and that way we don't have to wash more dishes, because that's part of cooking too.
washing dish.
Everything's melted. Corn tortilla is nice and warm. Oh, and look at that. Ready to go.
Action.
We hope you enjoy the sweet potato black bean quesadillas as much as we do. As you can see, our family, we all like to eat them different. I like it with salsa, Audrey likes it with sauerkraut, Ella likes it on a flour tortilla with sweet peas on the side. I hope you enjoy yours. Come back soon. Stephanie Jordan with Wild and Wholesome.